All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets today that we have on PrizePicks and Underdog. Now, guys, it's a pretty loaded slate. We're going to cover NBA. I'll start with that, giving you guys my breakdown there. Hopefully, we can have another good day like we did yesterday, having 8+ units of profit. It was an interesting day yesterday. I thought that the sportsbooks were kind of wrong with their assessment of a lot of the players, and that ended up being correct, which kind of meant that our PrizePicks slip missed, but oh well, it's a Flex Friday slip. I'd rather that happen and hit the underdog bet, which is what happened yesterday. So a good day yesterday. We'll touch on the NBA prop bets, but we are getting some really good edges in college basketball and a couple of decent bets in college football as well. So we'll jump into that. With that, guys, give a like and let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, so we had the Milwaukee Bucks here versus the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA Cup game that we have. It is a 2-game slate. We are going to be limited with the kind of good bets that we have out there. And right now, as it sits, there isn't much that I really like, honestly. There's like 2 bets for the Houston OKC game and kind of 1 bet here for Milwaukee. And that's looking at potentially getting Gary Trent Jr. for over his points here. We can see it does have a 51% chance to hit here on PrizePicks. I'm kind of okay with that. I don't think it should be at 8. I think the line at 8.5 is currently correct. Now, the one concern that people have with this is kind of his minutes in the last game against Orlando. I'm chalking that up to more of a matchup thing and AJ Green just playing well as well. Now, the concern would be that Chris Middleton being back has hurt Gary Trent Jr.'s minutes. We look at the game against Atlanta last time out, these two teams did just face. He had 11 points in that game, but Chris Middleton did not play in that game. And so we can kind of look at this 2 ways. One, if Chris Middleton being there is hurting Gary Trent Jr.'s minutes, then yeah, that's going to suck. But we look at the matchup here with Atlanta. They give up a lot of points to shooting guards here. And obviously, that's the position that Gary Trent's most likely playing. They give up an average of 25 points to opposing shooting guards, which is the second most in the league. And so he's coming in off of a tougher matchup against Orlando, which I think you could write off as a matchup-based minutes type thing. And AJ Green did play well and got minutes in that game. Now, what you could do instead of that is go with AJ Green for over his points here of 7.5. I don't hate that, but I don't see it as like a lock and load bet as well. Maybe even Taurean Prince, but I just don't feel the need to really go in on that one too much. His minutes have been hurt as well. So I don't mind Chris Middleton over points as well, but the one that kind of stood out to me the most in terms of us getting a good potential edge there was Gary Trent Jr. That's more of a traditional sportsbook bet though, guys, just to make that clear. And then let's go ahead and jump on into Houston. So to me, where we're getting our biggest edge here is probably looking at Alfred Sengun to get over his rebounds and assists. Now, you could just do his over rebounds. You could just do over his assists. I don't mind either of the bets that we are getting with him. These two teams have met up twice. And in those 2 games, guys, he had 14 points and 9 rebounds in one of the matchups, so was able to get that over. That was the most recent one, December 1st. And then earlier on this season, he had 9 rebounds and 6 assists in that game. So I'm kind of looking at that. I might like the assist a little bit more. You look at it, guys, they give up the 3rd most assists to opposing centers and about the 5th most rebounds as well. So not terrible. You know, Sengun obviously playing pretty well, but OKC just does give up a lot of rebounds and a lot of assists to opposing bigs. So it's really just trying to find which bet you like the most. Maybe you go with the over assist here. I don't hate that bet here as well. I think that's pretty solid there for you as well. And then another bet that I like a decent amount is looking at Dylan Brooks to get his over rebounds. PrizePicks currently has it as a demon or goblin bet. I'm kind of okay with it either way. Underdog has it currently set at 3.5, which is a bet that I like. Okay, so I like betting his over rebounds. You look at the matchup here, and it's a great matchup for Brooks. OKC gives up the most points to opposing small forwards. Now, yes, he's a guard forward. We know that. But he has consistently been able to get this over. And even in this matchup against OKC, we see 7 rebounds in the previous game here against OKC. And then in the first game against OKC as well, he had 4 rebounds in that game. So 2 for 2 in terms of getting his over 3.5 rebounds, which is the standard line that's out there. If you guys are betting on traditional sports books, I like that bet there as well. I believe that's still available on Pick 6 if you guys want to bet that over there as well. And so, guys, I'm going to go ahead and give you that bet slip here real quick, just showing you guys an underdog, again, more just for traditional sports bets. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the top power bets that we have on PrizePicks and Underdog today. So I'll give you guys that bet slip right now. All right, so I'm showing you guys this bet slip here on Underdog, just so you guys can see the adjusted payouts here. So he is heavily likely, Dylan Brooks, to get over 3.5 rebounds. again, very solid bet. Elfrin Sengun to get over his points and rebounds. You can see why PrizePicks has bumped up some of these lines or made it a goblin because they're likely to hit. And then I don't mind going with Gary Trent Jr. to get over 8.5 points. That's a bet where it's not as likely, and it's really just based off of the minutes. And I don't think we have a big enough sample size to say, all right, he's definitely going to get reduced minutes, especially in a good matchup against Atlanta today. And so now, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into the top prop bets that we have today on the board. If you guys want access to this cheat sheet, make sure to go ahead and sign up at 95sports.com. You guys can get access to it for just $10 a month when you use the promo code KEEPCASH. You'll get the first month for $8. Go ahead and try that out. So let's go ahead and start with the board, guys. Looking at college football, we got Bryson Daly currently as the best prop bet to get under his fantasy score, the Army quarterback. And I think it's important to kind of call out the lines that we are getting on him. Like, it's not likely that he's going to score a passing touchdown, so that's 4 points there. But they are saying it's pretty likely for him to get 12 points probably, or potentially 12 points rushing the football in terms of rushing touchdowns, which is pretty crazy, right? Not going to throw the football that much. And so I get why there's a kind of an outlier in terms of like maybe Vegas not liking him as much as PrizePicks. We do see that the last two games he's had really went off and against Tulane. Now, obviously, this should be a more difficult matchup, but it's certainly one where I could see it like just dominating for the over here as well. But it's currently listed as the best bet on the board today, so I probably will still be using it. Let's go ahead now and jump on into one other college football prop bet that's popping up as a good bet. A good bet, as always, guys, is a bet that has an over 54% likelihood or better to hit, which is what we have here with Hayden Wolf. And so for Hayden Wolf, it's probably one of those ones where you guys see it and maybe don't like it, given the fact that he hasn't gotten the over the last few games. And so both are definitely interesting. Just kind of looking at the game log that they're popping up has kind of the opposite, I think, than what people would naturally want to bet on. But I'm fine with it. Again, the data kind of likes those two. I'm kind of fine with that. I really, really wish that we were getting some underdog data on those two specifically, especially like Bryson Daly, to kind of gauge whether or not we are truly getting an edge, or if the Vegas data that we're getting in on that is maybe wrong compared to PrizePicks or underdog. But still, I'm fine with those. Let's go. Oh, we also are getting one more. Then we are getting Kentrell Bullock for under his fantasy score. The average sportsbook line would have this closer to 15 rather than 17. So another decent bet that we are currently getting here as well. So now let's go ahead and jump on into some college basketball prop bets that we are getting, because we are getting some pretty darn good ones, guys. And I'm just going to go ahead and filter by college basketball right now. And I want to show you guys some of the big prop line differences that we have. And I'm going to try to concentrate on games that are not going to be starting in 10 minutes after I post this video. But there are some decent prop line differences here. So some of these bets here, Trey Kaufman, like I don't mind betting is over. We see that it's kind of a clear outlier data point here, the PrizePicks line of 28.5, where the average sportsbook line has it at 30, almost 31. We can round out the projection data, and underdog line is more in agreement with that. Walter Clayton Jr. as well. That's a big prop line difference. Again, the PrizePicks line is kind of clear outlier there, so I'm perfectly fine with that. And then Brendan Smith as well. If we're going with Trey Kaufman for over his fantasy score, we might as well do this for Brendan Smith as well. Grant Nelson, not as big of a prop line difference there, but still not terrible there. And guys, this is the nice part about college basketball, is we are typically getting a lot of good prop bets coming in throughout the day, which does create some nice advantages for us. So let's go ahead and, well, we'll flip it around here as well. When we flip it around, not as crazy a bets there. It's worth calling out Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to be a good bet for us to bet for the under fantasy score. The issue that I have there is that the projection data does like the over a decent amount. He has been someone, Creighton, I'm fine betting Kalkbrenner for his under fantasy score. They just haven't been producing as I would like, and it's kind of been annoying. And I get why Vegas is maybe struggling to give him a proper projection, and maybe PrizePicks as well. You know, this is a much more difficult matchup here as well, which maybe that helps him. Like, we don't have to worry about the minutes, but they have not been a good team, and he has not been that good. A lot of his production in this line is based on him getting multiple blocks and steals, which just hasn't happened, especially against easier competition. So why would it happen against Alabama, which is a little bit more difficult of competition? So I'm kind of fine betting the under there. Then we did see Chucky Hepburn was one that was popping up there as well for his over fantasy score. I'm okay with it. I don't know exactly if I consider a lock and load, because a lot of his production is going to be based off of him getting multiple steals. He's a guy that gets like 4 steals a game sometimes. And so there is a lot of variance in that. You know, let's say he only gets 2 steals. Not going to be likely there. We need to get the 10 plus points from him from getting some blocks and steals. And that's going to be a good bet on both underdog and PrizePicks there. Go ahead and get a little bit lower. We got Augustus here for under his fantasy score, you know, compared to the average Vegas line and the projection data telling us to bet the under there. We got Ziegler there for over his fantasy score. Not the biggest edge, 28.5. Underdog has it at 29. Average sportsbook line at 30.63, but still not bad. So we got a lot of decent bets here between college football and college basketball, to the point where maybe we don't need to get in on that many NBA bets today, which I like. And then let's go ahead and jump on into the underdog bets. And so I do find some of the underdog bets kind of interesting. Again, we got Chucky Hepburn there, and we are getting some pretty good EV bets. So this is what's interesting about Chucky Hepburn, is that the under PRA is a good EV bet, but his over fantasy score is a good EV bet. And again, that's because of his likelihood to get multiple blocks and steals. That's really all it is. We got Micah Peavy for over his fantasy score. Again, I wish we could compare that against maybe a PrizePicks line. We're not currently getting that. We might. We'll see. Another decent EV bet there, 53.8% likely to hit. Not terrible there. For what it's worth, guys, if I'm betting on Ryan Kalkbrenner for his under fantasy score on PrizePicks, I'm not going to do it on underdog. It's 0.54 difference there, but that could be the difference between it cashing or not cashing. So, pretty solid day today in terms of the bets that we are getting. Let's go ahead now and get into the bets of the day here for both sites. All right, guys, so going ahead and getting into the PrizePicks bet of the day here. Again, just taking advantage of all those good bets that are currently popping up on the board. But if you guys don't like any of these, that's fine. It's just a solid board that we have today, so we're going to take advantage of those bets. And then looking at underdog, guys, if you guys don't want to double dip with Chucky Hepburn, that's fine. And I know I have a bet that currently game's going on here. I'm fine with that. But really, we could just do a two-slip bet here with Peavy and Hepburn, kind of mostly trying to get not lucky, but mostly trying to say, all right, the over fantasy score bets are going to be the ones that hit, rather than maybe chasing some under fantasy scores, kind of doing that way. Again, we are getting some decent prop line differences between PrizePicks and underdog today. Be on the lookout for more of that when you guys are looking at the 9-to-5 cheat sheet, because that can create some pretty big advantages for us on the day. But that's going to be all, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. That does help out a lot. Appreciate it, guys. Good luck with all your bets today. And as always, let's keep cashing.